Is there no man among you who dares to face me?
40 days we have bled in our boots while he mocks our God.
I have faced lions and bears in the wilderness, my king.
Where is your honor? Where is your courage?
Send me your champion, or do you all bow before my shadow?
This giant is no different.
This crown does not make you a prophet, Sulaiman.
Hello, believers. Today we travel back about 3,000 years to the ancient lands of Palestine and Israel. We are going to explore the life of one of the most beloved figures in history, Prophet Dawood, whom you might know as David. He's famous for being a brave warrior who defeated a giant, a king who ruled with justice, and a prophet who sang the most beautiful praises to God. This story takes place long before modern cities were built, in a land of rolling hills, olive trees, and dusty paths. Today, this area includes the holy city of Jerusalem, a place that is still very important to millions of people around the world. Imagine standing on a golden hill at sunset. The air is warm and smells like dry grass and wood smoke. In the distance, you see a young boy with a simple leather sling tucked into his belt, looking up at the sky with total peace. It sounds like a calm life, but the world around him is full of war and danger. Facing a 10-foot-tall giant with nothing but a pebble is a situation where you probably won't survive this, unless, of course, you have the faith of a prophet. So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe Journey with Prophet. Let me know in which city from you are watching this and what time is there now. Do type in comments section below. Now, wear your headset to properly enjoy the story. Dawood is born into a large family from the tribe of Judah. His father is a man named Isha, or Jesse, who is a humble and hard-working man. Dawood is the youngest of 8 brothers. While his older brothers are tall, strong, and trained to be soldiers, Dawood is smaller and has a more gentle spirit. Because he is the youngest, his job is to look after his father's sheep in the wilderness. In those days, being a shepherd is not an easy or lazy job. It is actually very dangerous. A shepherd has to stay awake during the cold nights to make sure lions and bears do not steal the lambs.
Even as a young boy, Dawood shows incredible courage. He does not have a sword or expensive armor. Instead, he carries a simple wooden staff and a leather sling. He practices with that sling every single day. He learns how to pick the perfect smooth stone and throw it with such speed and accuracy that he can hit a tiny target from a long distance. But more than his skill with a sling, he develops a very strong heart. While he sits under the shade of the trees, he doesn't just watch the animals. He looks at the mountains and the stars and feels a deep love for Allah. He begins to compose beautiful songs of praise. He has a voice so sweet and powerful that it feels like the whole world is listening when he prays. This is where he learns patience and trust, which are the most important tools for any leader. During this time, the children of Israel are going through a very difficult period. They are being bullied and oppressed by a powerful group called the Philistines. The Israelites have lost their courage and are looking for a leader to help them. A man named Jalut is chosen by Allah to be their king. Jalut is a tall and impressive man, but even with a king, the people are still afraid of the Philistine army. They are waiting for a miracle. They do not realize that their hero is not a famous general in a palace, but a young shepherd boy who is currently out in the fields making sure his father's sheep are safe from the wolves. A mainstream historical fact from this era is that it falls within the Iron Age, around 1000 BCE, which was a time when kingdoms were just beginning to form and iron was starting to replace bronze for making tools and weapons. Dawood is growing up right as his nation is about to change forever. The atmosphere in the Israelite camp is thick with fear and tension. Every day for 40 days, a massive warrior named Jalut, whom you might know from history books as Goliath, steps out from the Philistine side. He's a giant of a man, wearing a heavy bronze helmet and a coat of metal scales that glitters like a snake's skin in the hot sun. He carries a spear so thick it looks like the trunk of a small tree. His voice booms across the valley, mocking the Israelites and challenging their best soldier to a one-on-one fight to decide the war. No one moves. Even the strongest soldiers under King Jalut look at the ground, hoping the giant doesn't notice them. Remember how we talked about Dawood's father, Isha? He sends young Dawood to the battlefield, not to fight, but to check on his older brothers who are serving in the army. Dawood arrives carrying bags of grain and fresh cheese for his siblings. As he walks through the camp, he hears the terrifying shout of Jalut. He sees the veteran soldiers trembling. Dawood is confused. He doesn't see a giant that is too big to hit. He sees a man who is insulting the faith of his people. He asks the soldiers why they are so afraid. His older brothers get angry and tell him to go back to his sheep, thinking he is just being a curious child. But Dawood's brave words eventually reach King Jalut. Jalut calls for the boy. When Dawood stands before the king, he doesn't look like a warrior at all. He is just a young man with a glowing face and dusty clothes from his journey. He tells the king directly that he wants to fight the giant. Jalut is worried and says that Dawood is only a boy, while Jalut has been a warrior since he was young. But Dawood remains calm and tells the king about his life as a shepherd. He explains that when a lion or a bear came to steal a sheep, he would chase it down and save the lamb. He tells the king that the same Allah who saved him from the claws of the lion will save him from the hands of this giant. The king is moved by this incredible faith and offers Dawood his own royal armor and a heavy bronze sword. Dawood puts them on, but he can hardly move. He isn't used to the weight of metal plates or the balance of a heavy blade. He realizes he doesn't need to be a soldier in a king's armor. He needs to be the shepherd Allah trained him to be. He takes off the armor and picks up his simple wooden staff and his leather sling. On his way to the battlefield, he stops at a stream and picks up 5 smooth, round stones. He puts them in his small shepherd's bag and walks out into the valley to face the giant alone. When Jalut sees the boy, he starts to laugh. He feels insulted that the Israelites sent a child with a stick to fight a warrior like him. He curses Dawood and threatens to feed him to the birds. But Dawood shouts back with a voice that is steady and strong. He says that while the giant comes with a sword and a spear, he comes in the name of Allah. He reaches into his bag, pulls out 1 stone and fits it into his leather sling. He swings it around his head, faster and faster until the air hums. With a sudden snap, he lets the stone fly. It travels like a bullet and hits Jalut right in the forehead, the only spot not covered by his helmet. The giant falls face first into the dirt with a thud that shakes the ground. A mainstream historical fact about this time is that the Philistines were part of a group known as the Sea Peoples who moved into the coastal regions. They were very advanced in making iron weapons, which gave them a huge advantage over other groups who were still using softer bronze. After this victory, Dawood's life changes instantly. He's no longer the hidden shepherd boy from the hills of Judah. He is a national hero. King Jalut keeps him in the palace and even gives him his daughter's hand in marriage. Dawood becomes a commander in the army, and his fame grows so much that people begin to love him even more than the king himself. This success brings new challenges as he has to navigate the jealousy of others while staying true to his humble roots. After the giant falls, Dawood doesn't just go back to the fields. He's brought into the heart of the kingdom. King Jalut is impressed, but also starts to feel a bit worried about how much the people love this young boy. As promised, Dawood marries the king's daughter, which makes him part of the royal family. But even though he lives in a palace now, he never forgets the lessons he learned as a shepherd. Remember those 5 smooth stones he picked from the stream? Those stones didn't just win a war, they represented his absolute trust in Allah. This trust is what keeps him calm, even when things in the palace get very difficult. King Jalut starts to get jealous. He sees that everyone talks about how brave Dawood is, and he fears that Dawood will take his throne. This is a very human feeling, but for a king, it can be dangerous. There are times when Dawood has to hide or move away to stay safe, even though he never does anything wrong against the king. Eventually, after the death of Jalut, the people recognize Dawood as their rightful leader. He becomes the king of the children of Israel. This marks a very special time in history. He makes Jerusalem his capital, turning it into a center for worship and justice.
But Allah gives Dawood something much greater than a crown and a palace. He is chosen to be a prophet. Allah reveals a holy book to him called the Zabur, which you might know as the Psalms. This isn't a book of laws like the ones given to Prophet Musa. Instead, it is a collection of beautiful prayers, poems, and songs of praise. Dawood has a voice so incredibly beautiful that it is considered a miracle. When he stands in the mountains and starts to sing the Zabur, something amazing happens. The birds in the sky stop flying and gather around him. Even the mountains themselves seem to echo his praises, joining him in worshiping Allah. Imagine being there and hearing the very earth join in a song of praise. It is a level of peace that most of us can only dream of. Another miracle Allah gives to Dawood is his relationship with iron. Normally, to shape iron, a person needs a very hot fire, a heavy hammer, and a lot of sweat and effort. But for Dawood, Allah makes the metal soft in his hands, just like dough or wax. He doesn't need a furnace or a bellows. He can bend and weave the iron with his bare fingers. He uses this gift to create a new type of armor. Before this, armor was often made of heavy, solid metal plates that were hard to move in. Remember how Dawood could barely walk when he tried on King Talut's heavy bronze armor. Dawood invents chainmail, which is made of thousands of tiny interlocking iron rings. This armor is light, flexible, and very strong. It protects his soldiers while letting them move quickly and stay cool.
Even though he is a powerful king with miracles, Dawood remains very humble. He doesn't take money from the public treasury for his own food. Instead, he uses his skill with iron to make and sell armor so he can earn his own living. This is a big lesson for us. No matter how high our position is, there is great honor in working with our own hands. A mainstream historical fact is that during the reign of Prophet Dawood, which historians often place around 1000 BCE, the kingdom reached a peak of power known as the United Monarchy, where the different tribes were finally brought together under one strong and just government. He rules with such fairness that everyone feels safe under his leadership. He divides his time perfectly. One day for judging the people's problems, one day for his family, and one day for nothing but the quiet worship of Allah. He is a man who truly knows how to balance the duties of a king with the heart of a believer.
Dawood's life becomes a beautiful cycle of prayer and service. Even as he grows older and his hair turns silver, he never slows down in his devotion to Allah. In fact, there is a very famous way of fasting named after him, called the Fast of Dawood. He would fast every other day for his entire life. This shows his incredible self-discipline. One day he would eat and thank Allah, and the next day he would fast and pray. He also divides his nights into 3 parts. He sleeps for half the night, stands in prayer for a third, and then sleeps for the last sixth. This balance keeps his heart soft even though he is a powerful king who rules over many people and commands large armies. Remember the miracle of his voice and the mountains joining him in praise. That beauty stays with him until his last days. He also has a very special son named Sulaiman. While Dawood has other children from his marriages, Sulaiman stands out because he is not just a prince, he is also chosen by Allah to be a prophet and a king after his father. Dawood often takes young Sulaiman with him when he has to judge cases between people. Even as a young boy, Sulaiman shows amazing wisdom that surprises the older advisors. Once, 2 men came to Dawood with a difficult problem about a field that was ruined by sheep. Dawood gives a fair judgment, but then Sulaiman suggests an even more creative solution that helps both the farmer and the shepherd. Dawood is so proud of his son and knows that the kingdom and the message of faith will be in good hands. As Dawood reaches the age of 100, the time comes for him to return to Allah. There is a very famous story about the day he passes away. Dawood was a very modest man and liked his privacy when he was worshiping at home. One day, while the doors were shut, he suddenly sees a man standing in the middle of his house. He is surprised because no one should have been able to get inside. He asks the man who he is. The stranger replies that he is someone who does not fear kings, and that no walls or guards can keep him out. Dawood realizes immediately that this is the Malak al-Maut, the angel of death. Instead of being afraid, Dawood welcomes him with peace, knowing his life's work is done and he is going to meet his Creator. He passes away on a Saturday, which was the holy day of rest for his people.
His funeral is one of the largest ever seen. Tens of thousands of people come to pay their respects to the shepherd boy who became their greatest king. It is a very hot day, and the people are suffering under the direct heat of the sun. Sulaiman, using the special gifts Allah gave him over the animals, calls out to the birds. Thousands of birds fly over the funeral procession and lock their wings together, creating a massive living canopy of shade for the people. A mainstream historical fact is that the era of Dawood and Sulaiman is often cited by historians as the golden age of the ancient kingdom, a time of massive architectural growth and peace that is still talked about thousands of years later. This transition of power from father to son ensures that the worship of one God continues for many more years in the Holy Land.
And so, our journey through the life of Prophet Dawood comes to a gentle close. From the quiet hills where he watched his sheep, to the terrifying battlefield against a giant, and finally to the golden throne of Jerusalem, his story reminds us that true strength comes from the heart and absolute faith. His beautiful songs of praise still echo in the spirit of every believer who seeks peace and connection with the divine. As you lie back and think about the man who could soften iron with his hands and move mountains with his voice, let your heart feel that same stillness. The world is quiet now, and the lessons of the past are tucked safely in your mind. Sleep peacefully, knowing that the same light of faith that guided Dawood is there for you too. Rest well, dear listener, as the story fades into the soft shadows of the night. May your dreams be filled with the same beauty he sang about in the Zabur.